I think there is a little bit of an issue. Manoj sir, can I ask you to unmute?
Yeah, can you hear me, please?
Yes, yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, once again, thank you very much, Pratik, and a very good warm morning to one and all, especially the speakers, participants, and all the attendings. It's a pleasure coming on board with you all to take you through a quick ride in terms of what is that we are looking at from this particular study. What is the kind of task we have on hand? How is it that we are going to achieve this? Okay, to get all the solutions, we would be keen to have WRI to do the basic research and the study around all the priority stations to begin with. Primarily, it's like identification and the study of metro station catchment areas for the deployment of integrated first and last mile feeder services. Next. The goal. Yes, we have a goal to build and enhance high ridership through safe, seamless, and efficient multimodal integrations. For metros all over the world, if they have to survive, we need to have an efficient first mile and last mile connectivity, which feeds in a lot of commuters into the rail systems. The objective of the study is henceforth to determine the ridership, understanding the current catchment areas and the future expectations to build incremental growth of ridership. Integrated feeder services for the first and the last mile connectivity, which is a must to build and provide a safe, seamless, economic, efficient, reliable, comfortable, convenient, zero emissions, and technology-driven multimodal integrated services. Allied integrations, yes, which are very much required and are important to enhance the ridership. Collaborative integrations with the areas and the zones of our interest could be corporates, industries, educational institutions, government officers, and many more. Obviously, we would like to engage our customers on a day-to-day basis, rather given a choice on an hourly basis to understand the needs, the demands, the requirements, to customize and provide all these services, ensuring that he becomes a brand ambassador for our railway services, metro services, and gets in more commuters on board. Yes, efficient street level infra is a must, and efficient passenger information, passenger wayfinding signages are required in the initial stages. Hence, we would like to build an efficient street level infra, enabling every citizen to use the metro rail services. The expectation from WRI, yes, as we defined through this station access and mobility program, Pune. Next. A quick look at the DPR extract, the estimated figures. Given a choice, we would love to achieve 100%. Since it's a segmented launch, we will thrive to reach to these numbers. If you look at reach 1 between PCMC and Phugewadi, we got about 5 stations. Expected ridership is almost 210,000. Likewise, reach 2, Vanas to Garware College, with again 5 more stations, close to about 61,000, 62,000. So these are the figures where have been projected in the DPR. So we'll keep this as a base figure and start working on these figures. Next. If you look at it traditionally, historically, if you look at any other metros across the country, like Bangalore, Chennai, Jaipur, Kochi, Lucknow, Mumbai, Hyderabad, typically we have experienced that just about 32 to 35% of the projected ridership figures are achieved in a segmented launch. And if you look at the data in terms of the trip length distribution, it's about 0 to 2 kilometers, about 7%. So this is the breakup of the entire ridership expected. Next. Further going down into the data mining, we have also identified, worked out based on the DPR figures and estimates and assumptions, trying to figure out per station what is the daily boarding and alighting figures. We are sure that we will try and achieve whatever best possible and supersede the percentages of 32 to 35%, which has happened across all the other metros in the country through an efficient last mile, first mile feeder connectivity and allied integrations. Next. We've also worked out in terms of identifying and giving first choice to the commuter to use the existing intracity bus operations with PMPML. We have identified routes around each of the stations. And we're also suggesting that what type of vehicles in terms of the seating capacity, in terms of the size of the vehicle based on the geography available around each of the stations. Next. Apart from the state-run bus services, we feel to reach to the end, last mile of the commuter, we've also already signed up MOU with almost 14 operators, and most of them, rather all of them, are electric platform. Few more to sign up by the end of this month, which is also on the pipeline, like people like Uber and Ola. We're also working on a bicycle operator to come in with the fleet and operate the last mile, first mile feeder services. Next. Apart from the last mile, first mile feeder operations, we are exploring, we are already in touch with, and we are in advanced stage of discussions with the other public transport stakeholders like IRCTC, with the intention that we have 2 stations in Pune and 2 stations in Nagpur, where they are interconnected with the mainline railways, enabling the passengers who are coming into the city of Pune or Nagpur to pre-book their metro ticket to get to know a lot of information on the metro system in both the cities. Yes, MSRTC is there. We are also exploring an opportunity to work with them to convert our terminal stations into the multimodal hubs where they terminate and originate their intercity bus operations. Likewise, we have a suburban railway system in Pune. We are exploring an integration with them in terms of enabling the passengers to shift between the suburban trains and the metro station at both these interchange stations, interconnected stations. PMPML, yes, of course, they're going to be there for all means. We're also exploring Red Bus to integrate the private bus operators also to come on platform. We have also spoken and signing up an MOU with the Cool Cabs, the most preferred cabs between Bombay, Pune services. Apart from this, we are exploring Department of Post. They were close to about 600 post offices across the city of Pune and Nagpur, Pune and PCMC. They are keen to pre-sell our smart cards, do KYC, and also home deliver the smart cards to the citizens. Of course, we had a round of meetings with the Pune Smart City. We are also exploring on NMT in terms of how do we work with them in the city like Pune. Next. Some more allied activities for ridership enhancement. Yes, we have plans, great plans of creating multimodal hub. We can have close to about 6 multimodal hub, 2 inside the city and then 4 at the terminal stations. We would love and encourage bicycle on board the train, encourage citizens to use their own personal bicycles to carry it on metro and travel. We would encourage and create a park and ride solutions. Again, on technology platform, we are working with agencies to create that kind of a technology so that I can pre-book my parking before I come to the station, ensuring that I manage my time very well. The other customer engagement we would love to do is celebrations on rails, which we already done in Nagpur. We would like to extend here in Pune, driving additional commuters into the system. Of course, experimental rides, especially the education institutions, the schools and the housewives, Because for me, a school student is a customer for the next 20, 25 years to come. And a housewife who is also a decision maker in the family, if I be able to convince her, she would become a brand ambassador in the area where she's residing or working. Yes, we would also like to have flea markets rather, events and promotions on weekends and public holidays to drive extra crowd. We will certainly explore the vaccination centers and the polio centers on the stations, since we are all going through a difficult time, a challenging time. So it is all about convenience. It is all about caring for other citizens. We would love to extend this kind of facilities. We already have a couple of meetings with top hospitals here in Pune, and hopefully we will be able to get that through. Next. Yes, brand ambassadors, decision makers, opinion leaders around each of the station. We would identify the best and enroll them to be our brand ambassadors to influence other local citizens in the vicinity of each of the stations. We would go heavily on awareness campaign, let's say print and social media, station on-board announcements, obviously visibility at all three levels on the feeder systems. That's the street level, concourse, as well as the platform level, ensuring a smooth transition of a passenger from the system onto the feeder system and vice versa. We would love to do a market study regularly, conduct focus group discussions as and when we launch a particular segment or station, do customer surveys, identify the needs, requirements, demands, and challenges for the citizen to take a metro services. Yes, of course, we would love to also conduct a passenger satisfaction surveys at the end of each quarter to get to know their again needs and requirements, demands, and challenges. Next. Street infra. We've already planned, we've already executed in a city like Nagpur. We have robust plans even for the city like Pune to construct, maintain safe bicycle tracks, safe pedestrian walkways, convenient and easy access to differently abled citizens for sure. Efficient wayfinding signages, the street signages, efficient passenger information street signages around the catchment area to a distance of 2 to 3 kilometers, safe drop-off pickup points, safe dedicated bus points, auto rickshaw points, and feeder points, safe and convenient parking. Yes, future is going to be the EV segment, so we would ensure all our stations and the parking areas are well equipped with convenient EV charging stations. Next. These are some of the signages which we talked about. Street signages we have already installed in most of the stations in Nagpur. We will replicate, and we will also ensure that these kind of signages are also installed in and around the catchment areas of every station. Next. Yeah, these are some of the signages, what we have done there in Nagpur, especially for the feeder segment, pickup and drop-off points. Next. Next, please. EV charging stations. Yes. Apart from our own feeder operators who are keen to install the electric charging station, electric vehicles charging stations, we are talking to the global leaders in the segment, right from Tata Power, Reliance, Power Grid, ESSL, okay, Triple E Taxi, all of them we had discussions. They would be coming on board very soon to install and provide the services, not just to the feeder services, but to all the electric vehicles possible in the city, where people can come in, plug in, charge, use the metros, and go back. So we are in advanced stage of discussion with each of them. Next. Expectation from STAM. Yes, we have some expectations. I think we are very fair enough to have that. the last mile connectivity, identification of metro catchment areas, which they would go to the last mile, to extensive study, introduce data and technology enabled entrepreneurial solutions to plan the last mile services and enhance the ridership. Station infra, yes, we would like to look at. Once again, should there be any gaps, we would like to ensure that we take care of them. Introduce data and technology enabled entrepreneurial solution to build a station infra evaluation tool for different passenger load and vehicular load. The team from WRI would be able to create a tool for us wherein I can feed in the data to get the right solutions or the analysis from time to time. Then identification of bottlenecks for metro commuters around metro stations and suggest us the rightful measures to improve the commuter experience. Next. So thank you very much. This is just a synopsis as to where we are, what is that we want, and how is that we're going to achieve. So I hand over back to Prateek to hear more from WRI as well as the panel in terms of how do we achieve our projected figures. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar, for sharing Maha Metro's vision for Pune. It is indeed interesting to note Maha Metro's efforts to ensure mass transit, connectivity, and integration of transport modes across the city, and the emphasis on commuter experience being the utmost importance in this mammoth effort. I would now like to invite Mr. Prasanna Ganesh, Executive Vice President, Toyota Daihatsu Engineering and Manufacturing, and Director, Toyota Mobility Foundation, to talk more about the STAMP initiative and other TMF initiatives on sustainable mobility across the globe.
Thank you very much, Prateek, and thank you, Mr. Manoj Kumar, also for those very inspiring and very interesting words. Once again, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Pras, and I am the Program Director for Toyota Mobility Foundation for Asia Pacific, and one of the people who was kind of working with WRI India to initiate STAMP, Station Access and Mobility Program. Today, I wanted to give you a bit of an outlook in terms of the journey that we've taken on STAMP, as well as kind of the learnings that we've had in STAMP over the last 4 years. But prior to doing so, maybe when you talk about Toyota, most people know Toyota as an automotive mobility company, but not many of you know Toyota Mobility Foundation. So please allow me to spend a couple of minutes to just explain who we are and what Toyota Mobility Foundation is. Next slide, please. So Toyota Mobility Foundation actually was created in 2014 from Toyota Motor Corporation itself as an independent foundation to try and find solutions for social problems that can be solved with mobility. Next, please. Fundamentally, the mission that we have as Toyota Mobility Foundation is how do we enable more people to go more places? This stems from the fact that we believe that fundamentally mobility equals opportunity, giving people an opportunity to go to school, for employment, for trade, for healthcare, all of these kind of elements. And it is absolutely required for us to be able to provide mobility for all. But how to provide mobility for all, of course, will depend on each situation, and how do we ensure that we are able to provide a safe, sustainable, affordable, convenient, and reliable solution for the people is required. And we work under two main pillars. The first one called Harmony in Mobility. This is fundamentally about how are we able to maybe support the demand and supply matching between mobility. As you can imagine, if we have too much demand and too little supply, certain problems are caused, which means some people may not be able to get the right mobility solution, or too much supply may also cause issues like congestion or safety issues or pollution as well. Furthermore, if we look at the second pillar, which is personal mobility, these are about some people who are underserved, people who are not able to get the right means of mobility, and how are we able to support them in providing solutions and kind of working under the 4 pillars below, which is social implementation or open innovation or research, or of course, working with different partners. Next, please. We work under 3 main principles, and this is kind of the core, even in the STAMP project, in terms of how we've been working. We don't come just in terms of providing funding. We try to come in and make sure that whatever solutions we are looking at are solutions that can be sustained, solutions that can actually be implemented in the city and in the country, even beyond TMF's funding or support. Secondly, we try to always work with coming up with the most challenging innovations. We believe technology and innovation is kind of the key to solving these kind of social problems, and this is what we try to work with. And the third element is really about partnership. TMF wants to work with the right partners who have the same value sets and the principles to be able to identify the right people to work on solving this problem, wherever they are, whether they're students, entrepreneurs, government officials, or other people as well. Next, please. When we look at the portfolio of projects, TMF operates globally. We have certain portfolios based on the kind of mobility issues that we're focusing upon. In certain countries where we have more mature mobility issues, where public transport is much more maybe developed, we try to focus on areas such as aging population, or towards people who are disabled or disadvantaged, or even towards areas on energy management. In areas which are still on emerging mobility issues, we specifically focus on urbanization related issues, especially congestion, decongestion, these kind of issues that we're trying to work on. Next, please. This just gives a very, maybe a brief overview of all the projects that we're running fundamentally across the world. And within that, we have certain projects that we're doing within our Asian portfolio. We started off STAMP in India in 2017. In addition, that was in Bangalore, but we've been going on, and I'll explain a bit more. But we've also been working in Malaysia, in Vietnam, in Thailand, etc. And we have projects in Japan, the US, and Europe as well that we are currently running. Next, please. So let me now come to STAMP, or Station Access and Mobility Program. So what is it? What are we trying to achieve, and how are we trying to achieve this? Just go to the next, please. So fundamentally, in 2017, we wanted to look at the issue of congestion. So with WRI India, we tried to look at what was kind of one of the core issues that we could work on to try and support easing of the congestion that we see naturally with people coming into cities for economic opportunity or otherwise. This causes problems of congestion, and how can we try to support this activity? And one of the core things that we felt was, especially, how do we encourage public transport, and especially the metros? Metros were being developed from the governments and with significant investments, but we knew, and as Mr. Manoj Kumar also mentioned, the critical element is how do we get people to the metro, and from the metro to the actual destination. So we felt that this is about really integrated multimodal mobility, and especially enhancing first mile and last mile mobility by working with a pool of very innovative and enterprising young people in India. So if you see the image below, of course, we're looking at first mile and last mile mobility itself, but the typical issue is we need to really understand what is the need for first mile, what is the catchment area for first mile, what is the catchment for last mile, and try to ensure that we come up with the right solutions to make sure that we can give a seamless solution to the end commuter. We also have an approach that we work with, which is really data-based or data-driven. We look at starting with research and trying to get the data for us to make a decision on what kind of solutions work. We try to get a capacity building to work with all of the stakeholders so they all understand and have a common problem that they're tackling. Then we look at STAMP, where we usually either challenge or other activities work with partners to catalyze those innovations and give some opportunity for them to test it. And then, of course, we do solution testing and share the results as we go forward. Next, please. STAMP in itself is actually a 7-city project. We started it in Bangalore. We moved on to Hyderabad, Kochi, Mumbai, and now we're in Pune, and we will continue beyond this in stations 6 and station 7, or city 6, city 7. But what we've kind of recognized through this journey is especially, and I was very pleased to hear the presentation from Mr. Manoj Kumar, which is first mile and last mile mobility, or the experience for the commuter, is far more complex and nuanced than maybe people think about. So first of all, a first mile, last mile solution begins from their home, where they are understanding what is the information, what options do I have, what solutions can I take in order to make my journey as seamless as possible. So we need to understand information, trip information, or mode availability. then we need to actually have the first mile or last mile solution, which could be parking your own private vehicle or taking a bus or using a bicycle or using a rickshaw. And then you also, of course, require the right option, and you need the infrastructure to make that happen. Then once you get into the station, you again need to ensure that you have seamless kind of linkage from your multimodal your option to the train. And then you have to have a very clear station access as well. Within the station, it should be easy for people to be able to understand where they have to go, when they have to go there, what is the information, how do we ensure that people who are underserved or people who with disabilities or disadvantaged people are also actually given solutions. And we have to then look at the last mile solution, which again looks at the catchment area and finding out the right solution. And in each city, we've been trying to go through a slightly different element to learn about this so that we are able to come up with the most comprehensive and the best understanding. And each city is also gaining some of the learnings that we've had from the previous city. Next, please. Next, yeah. So just in terms of what have we learned, this is a very, very simplistic kind of overview of what we've learned with WRI India and ourselves. The fundamental way of thinking is that we have to go beyond any traditional or conventional way of planning and implementing a total mobility solution for a commuter. So the critical elements are, we need to first consider it with a holistic view. We have to factor in the entire ecosystem from, as I mentioned, their home to the actual destination where they need to go. We believe that, of course, the critical element that actually makes this whole journey work well is the data. So we need to have the right data to be able to understand and integrate all of these different aspects and make sure we have the most efficient solution that can be provided. We also believe that through our journey and who we've worked with, and I was glad to see the list of some of the entrepreneurs that Pune Metro is working with, these Indian entrepreneurs and innovators are ready, and there's some fantastic solutions out there. So if we provide them with the right support and the right opportunity, they're able to deliver something that is truly inspiring. And we believe that we need visionary leadership, which focuses on the ultimate objective and not just each stakeholder's personal objective. So we need to have a clear ultimate objective, which we believe is really about ridership, and we believe about giving the commuter the best possible experience. If we do not think about the commuter and think only about the mobility solution, we will completely fail. Finally, it absolutely is kind of critical that we always put the commuter and the human-centric aspect of the solution first. And as Toyota Mobility Foundation and WRI India, we will do our part to support and facilitate this process. Thank you. Next, please. So with that, I'd like to end. I just believe that the only way to describe the future is to shape it. So I look forward to being part of this journey. Just to conclude, I just wanted to mention, of course, it's still quite a difficult time. So I ask everyone to stay safe and stay optimistic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ganesh, for setting the context for STAMP initiative in Pune. It is truly wonderful to see TMF's work across countries and to see the impact of STAMP in Indian cities. I would now like to ask everyone to join us to officially launch the Station Access and Mobility Program, STAMP 2021 Pune edition. The 5th edition of the program is led by Maha Metro in association with Toyota Mobility Foundation and WRI India to improve accessibility to the metro and commuter experience at metro stations, especially keeping in mind the new normal. Please join us to watch a short video on the STAMP initiative in Pune.
Resilient and sustainable public transport systems are an important lifeline for a city. However, in Pune, India's 8th largest city, public transport use has declined. Only 12% of Pune uses public transport, while private vehicles have more than doubled in the last decade. During the pandemic, public transport in the city played a vital role ensuring the movement of medical staff and other frontline workers to the places they were needed the most. But as Pune restarts out of lockdowns, public transport needs to adapt in ways that can connect people not just seamlessly, but also safely. Pune Pune Metro could play a key role in rebuilding commuter confidence and bringing more people back to public transport. However, even before the pandemic, ineffective first and last mile planning had been the biggest hurdle in getting people to switch to the metro. The Station Access and Mobility Program, STAMP, is an initiative by WRI India and Toyota Mobility Foundation that has been addressing the biggest challenges of public transport in India by supporting the creation of more safe, sustainable, and integrated transport systems. STAMP Pune, led by Maha Metro, will bring together public and private stakeholders to understand how last mile planning can help build back better by enabling a robust public transit ecosystem around Pune Metro. Through STAMP's data-driven approach to last mile planning, Pune Metro can ensure shorter travel times, enable social distancing by managing commuter flow in and out of stations, and get commuters where they need to be in the safest, most efficient way possible. STAMP, creating safe, seamless, and sustainable mobility in Pune.
Again, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everyone, especially our partners, Maha Metro and Toyota Mobility Foundation, for helping us deploy this program in Pune. With that, I would now like to take the opportunity to share some details on the initiative.
We can clap for the video.
It'll be great if everybody can clap for the video as well. Thank you, and thank you, Gadgil sir, for agreeing to let Maha Metro participate with us and to lead this initiative in Pune. Now, just a quick presentation on WRI and the STAMP initiative. Next slide. So WRI India is a research organization that works on 6 critical challenges in Indian cities at the intersection of environment and development, specifically climate, energy, food, forest, water, and cities. A lot of our work is measured through real change on ground, and we track key performance indicators to demonstrate to stakeholders how a specific intervention or a specific initiative has the potential to make a difference in people's lives. Next slide. We believe in bringing in the theory of change across our programs with deep collaboration with government and private stakeholders. This is done through an iterative process of knowledge sharing, integrated solutions, national and local policy, and a larger global engagement in all our initiatives. Next slide. Our approach is to counter it, change it, and scale it, working with data through programs like STAMP, bringing and changing the status quo of how cities work, and scale our learnings to a national level. Next slide. As you can see, we work across the country with many initiatives overlapping in key cities, including Pune. Next slide. We work on developing integrated solutions across several verticals, including transport, climate smart cities, and data-driven planning. Next slide. As I mentioned, next slide, please. As I mentioned, the Station Access and Mobility Program is a multi-year, multi-city initiative led by WRI India and Toyota Mobility Foundation that works with metro agencies to create innovative solutions to improve multimodal commute in Indian cities. Next slide. As Prasad mentioned, we started in 2017, and this is the 5th edition of our STAMP initiative, and we're very, very excited to work with Maha Metro. Next slide. STAMP Pune 2021 aims to use a data-driven approach to enhance commuter experience in the new normal, making it safer and seamless. As Manoj sir had said, we have 2 avenues of commuter experience that this initiative is exploring. Assessing operational performance of last mile operators for ensuring high connectivity to metro stations. And propelling from this, we also aim to develop strategies for effective planning of last mile services at Pune metro stations as well. Next slide. The STAMP initiative this year aims to identify innovative technology companies and city planners for developing and planning solutions for effective last mile connectivity in metro stations while maximizing the utility for multimodal integration. Additionally, with journey experience at the heart of any transport network, we aim to develop a play and plug solution as a data planning tool for Maha Metro that is very commuter centric. The goal of the innovation initiative is, like I said, a development of the tool itself with the expectations that it identifies commuter centric and city parameters that affect access to public transportation as well as its usage. It also identifies travel patterns where metro is advantageous in conjunction with other modes, and also provide an evidence-based intelligence for deploying commuter-centric last-mile services at metro stations. Next slide. As Prasad mentioned, this is a very, very collaborative initiative, and we are looking to work with partners to develop such a model. Specifically a technology startup or organization with experience in data analysis to create plug-and-play solutions and dashboards, and a city or a transport planner with experience of working and completing projects in transport agencies and working with other city stakeholders. In conjunction with both of these entities, WRI, TMF, and Maha Metro will bring in its expertise to help develop the solution. Selected teams will also be supported with the focus being on the metro stations that we're working with its connecting infrastructure to other modes like the suburban rail and the bus network as well, and to other transit modes in the city. Next slide. With that, please visit our website, www.wricitiesindia.org/stamp to know more about the initiatives and also apply to the challenge on our F6S page. I would highly recommend planners and technology startups to apply for the challenge and be a part of this changing mobility ecosystem in Pune. Now, the moment that we were waiting for, I think the panel discussion is of the utmost importance. And we would now I would now like to hand over to Mr. Madhav Pai, Executive Director, WRI India, to start the panel discussion. I would request all the speakers to unmute their mic and also turn on their video if their network bandwidth allows them to. I would also highly recommend the audience to participate. We would want you to keep yourself on mute, but put in your questions in the chat, and we will be relaying the questions to the panelists at the end of the panel discussion. I would also suggest we write the question and also the person that question is addressed to, so that it's easier to know who would you want the answer from. With that, Madhav, if you can take this over.
Thank you very much, Pratik, and thank you everyone for the wonderful presentations. I think now, in a way, we have context set for this challenge with the presentation from Metro, from TMF, and from WRI. So what I'll do is, we have four panelists, and what we can do is I'll probably pose a first question to you, and then maybe after the first round, Pratik, maybe we can also take some questions. And then the sort of subsequent conversations can be also a sort of a discussion with the audience. So maybe I'll start with you, Mr. Gadgil. Thank you once again. Just broadly, I think as you launch Maha Metro in Pune, I mean, what do you see as some of the sort of challenges you will face in the first 3 months, and how do you think sort of an initiative like this can help overcome those challenges? So maybe if you can just touch base and just share how you're also thinking about the first 3 to 6 months of the launch.
Good afternoon, everyone. Warm welcome to this webinar. First of all, I would like to thank the STAMP team who launched the initiative in Pune today. And I especially welcome Mr. Bajpai, who is the panelist here. He will be soon joining our family in Maha Metro. So we are eagerly looking to you, Mr. Bajpai.
Thank you, sir.
As you all know, Maharashtra Metro is in developing a 33-kilometer long network in Pune city. And because of the COVID pandemic, the launch has been delayed slightly. Or otherwise, by now you would have seen the trains running on few of the corridors. But now our plan is to launch about 12 kilometers of metro in this year by December 21 and complete the balanced network by December 22. So the Puneites can expect a very safe and comfortable travel across the north, south, east, west corridors of Pune city by end of the next year. But going by my experience in Jaipur Metro and Delhi Metro, with whom I have been associated, I would say that metro as a standalone is not at all a solution for the public transport which we are looking for. See, the Indian mentality especially is that we want door-to-door service. We are very reluctant to walk a few steps to catch a public transport. And we all have a mentality to have our own vehicle. That is a bit of mindset. So that is the biggest challenge we would have, to discourage people to use the private vehicles, their own vehicles, and switch over to the public transport. It is a need of the hour also. Otherwise, very soon our all roads will be clogged and it would be difficult. Average speed has already come down to about 10 kmph to 15 kmph. So as you said, in this year, we are going to start about 12 kilometer of services, 5 kilometer in Vanas to Rambadi stretch, and 7 kilometers from in the other stretch from PCMT to Fugyawadi. And see, the stretches are very small initially. And our message, our idea is to launch the services that it will give a message to Puneites that yes, metro is coming. So we don't want to wait for all the stretches to be completed and then only start the services. Initially, yes, we'll have the ridership issued for the initial months, but it will give a clear-cut message to Puneites. So we would like the STAMP team to be associated with us and give us a idea of how much ridership we will get in the initial months. That is by end of this year when we launch the 12 kilometer of metro corridors. And we have already started that initiative. I think Manoj is doing very good work. Manoj, where are you? Daniel, just put your video on. As I said, this first and last mile connectivity has become so important that our nodal ministry in 2017 has come out with a metro policy, wherein it has now become mandatory to provide first mile and last mile connectivity in the DPR stage itself. A separate chapter is provided in the detailed project report that how we are going to effectively use this first mile and last mile connectivity. And it has become so much importance now that it has come down to first and last half a mile connectivity. Even 1 mile also people are reluctant to walk. So instead of calling it first and last mile connectivity, it would be better that we call it half a mile connectivity. Then only people will be attracted to public transport and it will serve the whole purpose of the public transport. I think Manoj has already given the complete roadmap of what we are going to do in Pune by this first mile and last mile connectivity. So I would like the other panelists to give their ideas, and then during discussion we can have further question answers. Thank you, everyone.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Gadge. Pranjali, I'll come sort of next to you, since in this context, you are a Pune resident, you are a mobility expert, you spent many years studying mobility in Pune. From your perspective, what are the few things that you think will drive people towards the metro? And so if you can just share your thoughts and ideas around this.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, so I think, yes, first and last mile connectivity is definitely important, and which can also have walk, cycle, public transport, or shared mobility, any kind of mode people can use. But I think ultimately we need to understand that only supply side of it will not work. Somewhere we need to do travel demand management so that the parking is charged. Using two-wheelers is not convenient at all, because today what's happening is using two-wheeler, I mean, two-wheeler definitely has a lot of flexibility, so people are used to it. And the biggest challenge in Pune will be to attract that particular group, which is right now heavily dependent on the two-wheelers, and they are very much attracted towards it. So I think somewhere we need to do travel demand management as well. And so those tools are equally important when we, okay, video. I hope you can see my video.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yes.
can
Yes.
see your video. We lost you for half a minute. So please, if you can repeat what you
Okay,
just said.
sorry. Yeah. So I was saying that, at the same time, we need to do this travel demand management, because otherwise we will just keep on doing supply side of it. And if we don't manage parking, if we don't, make it inconvenient for two-wheeler riders. For example, while I saw in the presentations that there is some park and ride idea is there. But I think somewhere we need to understand that that can work in the outskirts, where people don't have any other option other than riding your own vehicle and parking there and then using metro. Otherwise, in the city center, if we start building more and more parking, there are less chances that metro riders will be using that parking and using metro, but there are high chances that other people who want to just visit that area will start grabbing that parking, or some people who don't parking in their own buildings, they will start blocking those parking lots. So this is the biggest threat. And that's the reason, park and ride in the worldwide, it works for bicycles and not two-wheelers. For two-wheelers, if we start doing that, of course, it is taking a lot of space also, and it might not deteriorate people from, discourage people from using the two-wheelers. So I think somewhere we need to start parking management as soon as possible, and it should happen at the city level, on street also and off street as well. Not to build more and more parking, because it might attract more two-wheeler users and not to the metro, but they will just use their own vehicles itself. So I think these are some of the things, along with the first and last mile connectivity, we need to ensure. And because this project is also talking about the data-driven approach, I think that data will also tell us after some years that, whether people are using park and ride facility and using metro or not. Because I'm a bus user, I travel by bus, and I never use my two-wheeler and park at Pune Corporation and use bus and go to Pimpri. I rather transfer a bus and go to Pimpri, because it gives me a choice of getting direct bus or making a transfer. So this is how commuter thinks and behaves. But it can work in the outskirts, but not in the city center. So these things I think we need to keep in mind. And some years ago, we also conducted a study of 3 parking slots in Pune, that is PMC and Swargate. And we checked whether people are riding two-wheelers and using PMPML buses or not, and not a single user is doing that. So I think we already have examples. We can use those, and we can improve our metro planning using the existing things. Using the existing experience of the city itself. So I think, yeah, these couple of things we should keep in mind to improve Pune Metro's ridership.
Now, thank you, Pranjali, for sharing these insights. And this is exactly like the data that you just brought about how, these Swargate and other sort of big bus terminuses and their parking and how it is being used, I think is an important sort of insight that should be tapped into as we sort of also think about designing these station areas and the last mile connectivity to metro. So thank you. We'll come back to you. I'll now go to Mr. Bajpai. Mr. Bajpai, you represent Central Railway, any thoughts on how maybe some kind of integration can be also achieved between the metro and Central Railway, or any other the other big issue when it comes to running any rail systems is station management. And and I think these are early days, but then other issues of crowding and others also start to emerge. So any thoughts on either of those points that you would like to share with the group?
Thank you, Mr. Madhav. First of all, I congratulate Maha Metro, WRI India, and Tata Mobility for launching this stamp station access and mobility program. And we feel honored that Central Railway Pune Division has also been made a part of this to provide better commuting experience to the public at large. Primarily, this multimodal transport system exists in the station limits, because whenever you find a big station, there will be parking area, there will be auto stands. And recently in Pune division, we had made some steps to provide an Uber taxi stand also, so that commuters while approaching the station can already book their, rides, cab rides and all that. Secondly, Pune division Central Railway caters to, first is the long distance train, and second is the suburban section. Our suburban section is from Lonavala to Pune, which is a stretch of around 65 kilometers, and Daund to Pune. That is again another section which is around 70 kilometers. So during this, in the stretch between Lonavala and Pune, somewhere we have a common connection with the metro which is coming up. That is from this PCMC to Pune station. So in future times, we see a shift in the commuting patterns in this section, where the people who are coming from Lonavala, we foresee that they will switch somewhere between PCMC and our Kasarwadi station. They would like to make a switch so that they make an onward journey till Pune or maybe further connecting lines of the Maha Metro. So keeping this idea in mind, Mr. Manoj Daniel had approached that can we have a system where people who are coming from Lonavala or maybe from Daund, any section on Indian Railways, can pre-book their metro ticket and vice versa. So Pune, Central Railway or maybe Indian Railways already has one online ticketing platform, which is called as a UTS app, in which a person can book ticket online. But there is some restriction that one has to be beyond 100 meters away from the station, because otherwise people may enter the station and then book the ticket. So that is a limiting constraint that has been imposed. But we'll work on that. And primarily, I see it as a great initiative. And as Mr. Gadgil was saying, that people want end-to-end connection as per their convenience. But that is not possible in the longer run, because this causes congestion, pollution, and so many constraints in our system. So basically, we have to deal with smooth and efficient transit, where people have to make a transit from one system to other system, second system to third system. Ultimately, our goal is to enable people to have a smooth end-to-end connectivity, and that is what we are looking forward to. As far as the long distance trains are concerned, there is one prima facie difference, that the people who haul long distance train come with luggage also. So that aspect has to be taken care of. And in initial rounds of discussion with Mr. Manoj, we had even come out with an idea that because we provide porters on the railway stations also, so we can have a porter aggregator system also, just like Uber and Ola in future, where a person who is approaching the platform can book the porter also in advance. Because normally when you approach a railway station, you will see hordes of people, hordes of porters coming inside, pushing through. So we have this in mind. In future, maybe we can look forward to these aspects also. So we really feel that this integration of the Maha Metro with the Railways UTS app will be a reality. Our IT partners are Quest, basically, who develop our software, and this UTS app has been developed by them only. But we'll certainly provide them all the support where we can see it happen actually. So my all best wishes to this stamp initiative, and we are really looking forward to this. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
I would like to inform the
Yes.
audience that we would be connecting with Indian Railway network at 3 places. The main station is Pune Railway Station. There will be very seamless transfer of commuters from metro system to the Indian Railway system. Apart from Pune Railway, we'll also be having interchange at Shivaji Nagar, where just about 100 meters walk from metro station to the Shivaji Nagar station commuters can travel. And in the long run, we have a plan to have another entry right in the parking area of the Shivaji Nagar station. And the third station is the Kasarwadi on the Pune-Bombay route, where on one of the platform our entry structure is coming. So that way we'll have the 3 stations integration with the Indian network, railway network.
Thank you for sharing, Mr. Gadgil. And no, this is an excellent initiative, and I think integrated ticketing clearly is a big opportunity that I think we should try. Of course, also with other modes, possibly in the city. Pras, I mean, I think will ask you to more more as a commuter who's used metro systems all your life. You lived in Tokyo for many years. Now you live in Bangkok, cities that have actually fairly strong sort of metro systems. What why do you take the metro? I mean, what in the city actually helps you to make that choice to take a metro? Maybe if you can talk about that a little bit, I think that can also.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mother. Actually, it was very interesting. I was listening to the conversation from Mr. Gadgil and Mr. Bajpai as well. And in the context of the commuter, I think, what was mentioned, that people don't want to walk 500 meters, or people are very hesitant to, unless they get a solution right to the entrance of the metro station, people are not willing to necessarily take the metro. This is actually a condition that is not so different from what existed in Tokyo, maybe about 30 years ago, or even in Bangkok about 15 years ago. So what tends to happen is that in all of these cities as well, people are used to maybe a certain mode of transportation, and you need to provide them with an option which is better. The first thing that we have to consider is you need to make sure that the commuter's experience, the commuter's journey, is kind of provided with the right level of convenience. So the reason why, for example, I would take the metro is naturally because the metro is more convenient, it's faster, it's a comfortable ride to get to my particular location, or for certain reasons, maybe I don't want to take my car into the city, or some other certain reasons which allow the metro to be the most optimal solution for me for that particular journey. The other point I wanted to mention is that critically, we have to understand that every single mobility journey is different. If I am going to go to work, maybe alone, I may opt for a certain journey. But if I am going maybe with my kids who are young, I may opt for a different mode of journey. Or if I'm going with my elderly parents, I may opt for a different journey. We cannot necessarily impose one way or one option. You have to give them the choice for them to be able to select the most optimal solution. And this is what is available, for example, in Tokyo or Bangkok or London or any of these kind of cities, when you have multiple options and the options kind of meet your need. If we try to force people, I think you will actually have a negative reaction, not necessarily where you will again have people who are not necessarily feeling that it is the best solution, but they're forced into the solution and it's just always resentment. So I think the critical element is to provide the best service and to keep the commuter at the center of the entire journey planning.
Thanks, Pras. Thank you for that. Just a couple of insights that I'd like to share before Pratik, we open up for questions. Just based on, and I mean, this is building on the point Pranjali made, and this is much more, not so much for even Pune Metro, but just for Pune as a city to think about. I mean, three things. I mean, one, I think more and more data we've seen. If you look at Bangalore or Delhi, that only about 15% of the jobs are within 500 meters of the metro. But if you go to a 2-kilometer circle, then you see about 70-75% of the jobs are within 2-kilometer radius of the metro stations. So I think instead of actually building parking lots, I think we should really try to think about how we build jobs close to the metro. I think we need to think beyond just putting retail or shopping, but actually really thinking about putting jobs. And I think this is a conversation we were also trying to have in Bangalore. When a new company like Flipkart in Bangalore, or companies in Pune which are very marquee like Persistent Technologies or KPIT, if you can convince one or two of these companies to come and set up some of their offices at least in the metro stations, then the metro becomes, because metro is your largest investment in the city to improve access to jobs. And if you bring the jobs close to the metro, I think so this, how do you think about sort of bringing jobs close to the metro is something to think about. I think the other research that I mean, we've from our past experiences in Bangalore and Hyderabad, it is very clear that people, as congestion increases, right, if you are sort of have a commute that is above 30 minutes or so, 60 minutes or so in the peak hours, people are willing to spend up to 30 minutes to do that last mile journey, right? So if you are if you are in a car, you can go further out, the catchment increases. If you're walking, the catchment is smaller. So based on that, I think this matching of data and the modes of travel, and then accordingly positioning some of these modes of travel, so really people will, so how do you, if people will not walk more than say 5-7, and so how do you focus on improving walking access in that area? If it's a slightly larger catchment, how do you facilitate? So I think this mode and really the catchment from which you are capturing people, which are almost concentric rings. So I mean, I think that is some other thing to look at in much more closely. And I think these are just some ideas, but I think more and more also there is a need for Metro, and I think to work very closely with the remaining other organizations in Pune also, to see how we can actually bring more jobs closer to metro, how we can actually drive some of these travel demand management policies, so that we can really make that whatever the large investment that we will make in the metro really help address and this, a lot of this builds on sort of some research that we have developed both as part of the STAMP initiative and otherwise. So just wanted to make those points. Pratik, I mean, why don't you sort of, if there are questions, why don't you read them out, and then we can again go to the panelists and see who can respond to each one.
Sure. So we have a question for Mr. Gadgil, that walking in Pune is a challenging experience. What coordination with road authorities will be done to allow for easy and safe access to the metro station?
That's a good question. I myself have experienced that when I am very fond of walking. I walk almost 10 kilometers per day. I have also seen that the whole footpath approach is really a very pitiable situation, even in Pune, which we call of as a second modern city of Maharashtra, but the footpaths are really not at all user friendly. So we are in touch with PMC and PCMC, the local municipal commissioner corporations, wherein we are all along the metro corridor, we are developing the very user friendly footpath and all other accessible modes of transport. So what we have done around all our metro stations, we have taken the responsibility on ourselves. Around 500 meters on each station, we will be developing all the road infrastructure, footpaths and all other infrastructure. And we have devised the drawings for the entire corridor. And we have requested PCMC and PMC to be on board with us, and they also to develop in their part. So very soon along the metro corridor, we will be seeing very user-friendly footpaths to pedestrians.
Thank you, Mr. Gadgil. We have a question for Mr. Prasanna Ganesh. The question is, would the solutions developed for these cities be showcased as a case example? And where do they stand today in terms of implementation?
So sorry, just to reconfirm your question, will it be showcased? And the second part of your question?
Will it be all? Is there a strategy to implement them in other cities as well?
Oh, well, to answer that, absolutely. So fundamentally, what we have done is that in every single city that we have run the STAMP program, we have identified certain companies or partners that we believe are right for the first mile, last mile solution, or who are data integrators, or who support even with things like facial recognition, these kind of areas. So whenever we identify the solution, first of all, we try to give them as much exposure as possible so their solution can be given an opportunity to flourish and make their business sustainable. Because without the sustainability, there is absolutely no first mile, last mile solution, very frankly. So we have to ensure that it is allowed to be sustainable. Once you allow the idea to be sustainable by giving them the exposure, we also try to see if we can replicate the solution into another city. So we have taken solutions that we've utilized in Bangalore and we try to move it into Hyderabad. Solutions in Hyderabad we've showcased in other cities as well. And we always introduce these different companies or different partners to multiple stakeholders wherever we can. One point I did want to mention is that then once we try to replicate a solution, it's very important then to understand the commuter itself. So I think the point that was mentioned when we talk about maybe a first mile or a last mile kind of point versus a commercial area versus a purely residential area, you may have to think slightly differently. And maybe a commuter in Pune may operate slightly differently than a commuter in Hyderabad or a commuter in Bangalore or a commuter in Kochi. So we need to understand what is the kind of things that drive them. For example, if there's much more rain, or if the footpaths are not so good, or if there is a poor infrastructure nearby, that can completely change your decision. So you need to provide them with that decision, which allows them to make the right point. So whenever we try to replicate a solution into another city, we always try to make sure that they then understand the people of the city, understand the stakeholders, and are able to come up with the best solution. I think that's our thinking.
Thank you, Mr. Ganesh. I think we can take one more question, and this is for Gadgil sir again. How do we, for feeder bus services, which model of contracting is Maha Metro exploring? Is it net cost or gross cost? Would you have any thoughts on that?
I would request Mr. Manoj Daniel to answer this question.
Manoj sir?
Manoj, please unmute yourself.
Yeah. As far as the feeder buses is
Louder, please. Louder.
we are actually looking. Hello, can you hear me now? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me? Okay,
You can remove your mask. You can remove your mask. Ask others to sit a bit apart from you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Well, related to the bus feeder services, right? We are looking forward for partners to come with their inventory, okay, and operate it, okay, rather than we putting in the efforts of getting our own inventory, because it's easier said than done for the operators to come in a small format, start a few routes and scale it up. While we also are open for the state transport like PMPML to be part of our agenda to provide the first and the last mile connectivity. The smaller versions like a midi bus or a smaller version of a buses, which eventually can penetrate deeper inside the catchment areas. That's where we are looking for our partners to come in with their inventory and the team and the technology and provide the feeder services.
I think maybe more questions from the audience. Maybe you can, why don't you sort of take three or four questions, and then maybe we could use them to actually do a round basically.
Sure. So I think this is a question which is open to everybody. And this is specifically on if you are creating data-driven solutions, we will need data from all stakeholders. We will need data from Maha Metro, from PMPML, from Indian Railways as well. Is there a strategy where a data sharing of this order can be facilitated so that solutions that are built, and even from last mile operators perspective, if they know where people are moving and traveling to, how does the integration of all of these modes through data is possible? So, if there are data sharing policies that can be made available. So Gadgil sir, Bajpai sir, if you have any thoughts on that.
I would like to start first. We already have a large data bank with us. A comprehensive mobility plan is already in place for Pune city, where all this origin destination studies data is available. Then we have our own detailed project report, There also origin destination survey data is available with us. We are open for sharing this data. Is nothing secret about it. And we are already interacting with the PMPL, and we have asked them that wherever metro route is there, they should not run the same their services on the same route. Rather, they should use their services for feeding the metros. So metro and PMPL should work as a complement to each other, not as a competitor. So they are also on the same page with us, and very soon optimization of their routes will be done. They will take off the buses on the route exactly which is matching with our metro services and put them into other routes, which will be mainly the feeder services. They will share their data with us. We will share data with them, all our government agencies. There is nothing secret about it. And comprehensive data can always be helpful to everyone, every stakeholder.
Yes, the same applies for Indian Railways also. We have the data of the commuters ready, and we'll definitely discuss with Maha Metro, and then we'll work out, as I initially said also, that some portion of the Pune-Lonavala section will be overlapped with the operations of Maha Metro. So naturally, when the people shift from like Kasarwadi to Shivaji Nagar, Kasarwadi to Pune, then there will be a shift in commuters from Indian Railways Suburban to Maha Metro. So naturally, we'll have to reorganize our operations in such a way that ultimately the commuters get benefited. So yes, definitely we do have the data, and we'll definitely work out with Maha Metro so that we also operationalize and regulate our trains so that people get more and more access to Maha Metro, and maybe we can restrict some trains up to say Chinchwad, from Lonavala to Chinchwad, or maybe Lonavala to Kasarwadi. So we'll work on that definitely.
Thank you, sir.
Pratik, adding just another point. Also, jobs. I mean, this is all supply side data or ridership data. Today, jobs data is actually the economic census 2014. Economic census will come out in 2020. Gives jobs data to the individual sort of zip code level, right? So I mean, this is actually an opportunity if somebody is willing to mine the data out of the economics, the 2014 economic survey, and hopefully the upcoming 2020 economic survey, then we can have very detailed jobs data spatially displayed for Pune, which then the rest of the both the institutions. And so we would really encourage somebody to step forward and help with actually spatializing the economic census data so that we have a detailed jobs data, because the household and other things are much more easily available. Jobs data is not, but if you do that, then that data also becomes available to everybody.
And also, I think the informal sector jobs data is equally important. How many informal jobs are there around metro? Can we enhance those? Because there could be great public spaces where you can accommodate them, and it will also act as the eyes on the street, and so many other things. I think that is also important. And one more thing I would like to add, I think there are two types to it. One is using the data that is already available. And second one is to use the real-time data to improve. And third thing is, using from learnings from that data. It should not happen that, the data is there, we plan something, but, after that, we don't monitor and evaluate what happened and whether we are going in the right direction or not. So that is equally important, I think, in this. And right at the beginning, we should establish a mechanism of monitoring and evaluation, set up a baseline, set up targets, and see, are we going there, are we going somewhere else, or if we are going somewhere else, what we need to do in order to reach to the right target. And one small point to what Gadgir sir said in his last comment around they are building footpaths. I think it's great that Metro is also developing footpaths around the entire corridor so that people can walk easily and access the metro. But I think here also, again, we should see that we should not be providing more spaces to private vehicles on the same street. Otherwise, the vehicle is not going to reduce. People will still be using the private vehicles if we provide more and more motor vehicle range, or if we provide a lot of on-street parking. That is not going to happen. But if we start widening our footpaths, definitely we'll get more footfall to the Maha Metro, or at least more footfall just of the pedestrians who are just walking for a work or job. And that space which we claim from the motor vehicles, we can definitely use to, as Madhav was rightly saying, to provide more jobs. I mean, these jobs would be informal sector jobs, but yet would be better uses of that particular space.
Thank you, ma'am.
There's one more point I would like to just highlight. Fortunately, we run through one of the largest industrial area in Bosari. Okay, that's the PCMC segment, where there are a lot of SMACs, and we were close to about 2.5 lakh of employees coming in every day, the labor class and the middle level, right? I had series of meeting with the MIDC team recently, and then we are trying to explore a robust first mile, last mile connectivity from the Bosari station as well as one of the other stations at Sant Tukaram Nagar. Okay, I'm sure we will be able to do that because of the COVID conditions. There are restrictions in terms of number of people coming in into the offices. But as the time goes, I'm sure that we will be able to get at least about 30-40% of the people as earliest by the end of this year itself.
Thank you, sir. I think there is a question for everyone, which is, what are some of the major challenges that exist in public transportation systems, especially for vulnerable group of commuters? And what are some of the interventions that agencies can take to ensure more service usage from these groups? So Gargil sir, then Bajpai sir, if you have any thoughts, and then we can hear from Pras and Pranjali ma'am as well.
I would say that unlike foreign countries, Indian metro system is really affordable to all class of societies. And we don't make any distinction between the lower strata, middle strata, as all are equal in our eyes. We give equal importance to every person, equal facility to everyone. The minimum fare would range from just 5 rupees and maximum can go up to, I think in Pune city, not more than 50 rupees. So I think it is very affordable considering the level of convenience, reliability, safety aspects. So the lower strata is really welcome. It will boost their economic activity and they will upgrade to the next higher level.
Thank you. Bajpai sir?
For Indian Railways also, it is said to be the cheapest mode of transport, not only for the long distance, but for suburban section also, short distance. In fact, we have a concept of monthly season ticket, as many of you would be aware also, monthly season ticket, where by paying an amount equivalent to 12 trips, a person can commute for the entire month also. So that is the level of discount which is offered. And then there is QST also, quarterly season ticket. So these things are placed. Then we have the policy of student concession also. So, I mean, during the pre-COVID times, there was so much crowding. It is so much in demand. So naturally, it caters to the public at large. And being a wholly owned government of India organization, we have to maintain these standards and these requirements to cater to the public at large. We are absolutely doing this.
Thank you, sir.
Bajpai ji, here the metro score above the railway system because you still maintain AC class, non-AC class, first class, second class. In metro system, it is all uniform, single class.
That is true, but
equal level of comfort to everyone.
Yeah, but there are so many fully air-conditioned trains also, and the future is that only. Of course, there will be some distinction, some classes, but then the thinking in terms of those lines also, in which Maha Metro or any metro unit is already into.
So I think I would like to add one point here. So a lot of times we see affordability from a very different angle. And a lot of times we forget the fact that people from vulnerable groups can't even afford 5 rupees of PM bus. There are maids who just walk 2.5 kilometers to go to their, services or whatever. But they don't use bus just to save that 5 rupees and, daily 10 rupees. So which means that, affordability for us is very different and for them is really different. So for metro, I think we should also think about it, like how we can facilitate those trips. Otherwise, they'll continue walking on long and long distance because today they are not even able to afford EMPML bus. So affording metro will be, metro will be at least 2 rupee high, or even if it is at the same cost, it will be still unaffordable for them. So I think we need to see it from a very different angle. And we need to see if there can be different schemes for that particular class. I believe that everyone has an equal right to travel in a fancy metro. It should not be this class and that class. Everyone should travel together. But as affordability is concerned, we can think about special schemes so that we just address that particular class without affecting their whatever more burden on their income.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Pranjali, just one more, since it's a broader question on vulnerable groups. I think any thoughts so that women, young children, I mean, and what are some of the things that could be sort of kept in mind to be able to make these services also more attractive to them? And then anybody, Mr. Gadgil, I mean, I don't know if, or Mr. Daniel, if you are thinking any initiatives along these lines as well. So maybe Pranjali, you can start and then we can.
Yeah. So today only there is new PMTMS CMD who has taken a charge, and the first day itself thinking of making PMTMS buses free for all women, like Delhi. So I mean, there could be multiple options, but this is also a great move to think about that. And why only women? Because there are high chances that if they don't have better access, they can lose their job, and there is tendency to just leave the job because there is no bus service or there is no mobility available. So that's the reason they are. It can work. For the school children, many cities, of course, they give passes through the schools, and there is already station. So that is quite doable, and irrespective of whether that kid is enrolled to any school or not, I think that should be available for all the children. So this way, these are some of the ways we can think of it. Or if there are maids who can't afford their. Right now, there are maid Sangatana and Kamwali Sangatana. There are so many things. I mean, through them, we can reach out to them and see if something can be worked out so that they can get special passes or discount coupons or whatever. Or if their owners can, but if their employers can pay for their travel or something like that.
I would like to add here.
Yes, please.
Madam, your ideas are really very noble and welcome, but given with my experience, I can tell you during my college days in Delhi, we used to have a 12 rupee DTC pass in Delhi. Just 12 rupees, and you can ride as many number of times as you can do. And you see, the DTC has been a disaster because of these schemes. Any freebies, any below this scheme will not run for good for the organization. So, see, your idea is good that we should help the vulnerable section also, but metro cannot be a part of it. I'm sorry to say, there are other schemes by Government of India or the state governments wherein their economic levels can be boosted. Giving free passes, giving subsidized things, I think it should be now, I would say, strong words, be banned, in fact. You see in Delhi what is happening, free ration, free electricity, everything is free. People don't have no incentive to work. That's my idea. Thank you.
Who we are doing and how we are addressing those challenges is more important than just keeping us away from this question. Because if we don't facilitate this vulnerable group, there are no chances that we will get that user to our metro. So I think somewhere we need to work out a solution which can work out to be best for them also, but we don't also lose them because they also have equal right to ride in our metro. So I think we need to see social angle here.
I think
Also, sir,
sorry, go on.
Separately, sir, I mean, separately, any thoughts on sort of, woman, like a lot of other metro systems have created a women-only car and things like that right away, or will you wait for that for a little while before any of those initiatives will be sort of created?
Is it for me?
Yeah, for you. I mean, in
yeah,
Pune
first
Metro,
coach of the train, coach of the train would be reserved for ladies.
Oh,
that is now become a standard practice everywhere.
No,
that is the case in suburban trains also. Some coaches are reserved for ladies.
Yeah.
I think we are out of time. I know everybody else has a prior commitment to this. So I think with that, I would like to thank all the panelists and all the audience members as well to come and who have attended this session. And rest assured, I think we have a lot of questions for all of our speakers. So we would take them offline and we will try to get answers for those questions as well. With that, I would now like to thank everyone for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from you on how we can explore synergies to explore and make transport sustainable in Pune. With that, thank you so much, and this is the end of the event.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.